Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the PML Wrestling Show.
I'm glad you waited for me to look at the damn camera.
Look up. Don't look up.
Good movie. Did you ever watch it?
I did not watch it.
So good, dude.
I still have to watch it. It's actually on my watch list on Netflix.
Smart.
So once this bagpipe season slows down, that'll be.
Oh, that's right, dude. It is bagpipe season.
Yeah, dude. And this weekend was the Pittston not the Tomato Festival. That's in some other time of the year, but the Pittston Parade. Dude, that was the craziest thing I ever played at. It was like, one, I'm not it
was like Mardi Gras.
I didn't get COVID yet.
That's true.
But that one, two, I never seen that many people ever at anything.
That's good.
In this area.
That's because it was on hiatus last year. I know it was
on hiatus last year, and it was on 2 years ago. But like, everything got cut short, and it was just really weird.
I got you.
Because I went and played out like halfway through March. And then my mom's just like, "You're gonna die," and I'm like, "I probably shouldn't go out and do this anymore." So
who's I? Who you talking about? Gaines?
Yeah, Gaines. Boom.
Gaines, because he's one of the PML Crew members right here. Because you just went right into parade season, which hey, I ain't mad at you. It's a busy time for you.
Yeah.
Homeboy Malloy, Gaines McKay, Rich Lopez, Top Shelf Price. We are the PML Show. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. Figure we start putting the date maybe on these episodes, so we'll just say March 11th.
March 11th.
That's right, Friday, March 11th.
Because everything's always changing. March 11th, too, WWE 2K22 came out.
Did you get it?
Today, no. I'm going to record on Wednesday, but it's a Friday show.
Yes.
I'm going to probably pick it up on Friday. I have to go pick up some filters for my HVAC unit, and then I'm going to go over to the Best Buy.
Adulting.
Yes.
Very big adulting. I'm glad you had a busy weekend because I know it's like a fun weekend for you, and I know you have other couple busy weekends coming up. Obviously, St. Patty's Day, Gaines McCabe, that's where it originated from.
Oh yeah, dude.
The Irish life, as I like to say. So I hope you are always safe and just having fun. My weekend just had basketball. Have basketball playoffs this weekend. Gonna try to make a little push with the kids.
How are those kids behaving?
They're good, man. They play hard. I probably let them down more, more than I feel like I let them down coaching more than they give me effort. But it's also just a rec league. So travel will be coming up, so I'll probably be a little bit more harder on the kids, because obviously that's like next level basketball. What I do now is just like the rec developmental league. So like some kids, this is like their first time playing. I'm not trying to be Bobby Knight to a first kid playing, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be Bobby Knight at all, actually, because I probably go to jail. Yeah. But you know what I'm trying to say. But hope you guys are going to, enjoy the show. Like we always say, every Friday, new episode. So if you guys want to watch us, see this man's beautiful face or this beautiful man chugging in that pale ale, Sierra Nevada. Is that what that is?
Yeah, the old reliable, the old original.
Green can.
One of the first pale ales. Came out like the late 70s, early 80s.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can watch him chug that on YouTube. And if you or maybe my Mr. Face, a little bit of a beard, not as good as yours, but you can see my face on YouTube as well. Dude. I can't.
What happened?
Straggly. It's just straggly.
But once you get past the straggly phase, it looks like this.
I don't think so. Yours is just full, beautiful.
I think honestly, you're more full than I am.
Up top.
Yeah, up here. Baby. Yeah, I know, but here. Like, your hair goes all the way up here. Like, mine stops, like, right here, like, right at the middle of my cheeks. Yours goes all the way up. You could have, like, Rico Suave.
You mean
beard.
Rico?
Yeah, Rico.
Yeah, you're right. I got the lamb chops. I would say Rico Suave was that song, dude. I mean, that's the name of the song. I forget who said Gerard.
I did mean Rico, the wrestler.
I know, that's why
for Jamal and Rosie.
Yeah, there you go. But then also, you guys, I mean, we have YouTube, which we just talked about our appearances, but you can also just listen to us. So I'm pretty sure we probably sound better than we look. I mean, I'm at least speaking for myself. I know you're beautiful.
I would agree. Yeah.
Oh, okay, you agree. So, yeah, we probably sound a little bit better, and it's probably also easier to listen to us. So wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, et cetera, every Friday, the crack of dawn. But I'm sure you guys get up at like 4 or 5 or 6. I know Gaines gets up early, does that Rocky stuff. So definitely listen to us Friday and every Friday. And then tell a friend, tell a family member, tell a wrestling fan. On the show, March 11th, we're going to talk a little bit of AEW Revolution. We didn't get to watch it because we are early in the parent life.
Yes.
Also busy season for Homeboy here. But we'll obviously give our thoughts on the results and the highlights that we did watch because we both got, we still have to make up for some of the content, right? So we'll talk about that. We're going to recap or at least talk about a couple of the matches that got announced over the last week and a half with Mania. Obviously with Mania, you have the Hall of Fame coming up. Taker was obviously the headliner last week. We talked if it should just be him or if we should have somebody else. They did give somebody else, and somebody that I think overly deserved it with Vader, so we'll just talk about that, maybe his favorite match or two, and then maybe another couple candidates that we've heard.
Do you think with Vader...
Let me get the rundown, man.
I just think things...
On the card. Write it down. On the card. And then we're going to close out our show. We've been doing resumes, but we also like to do a couple, Mania or pay-per-view rebookings. Because Undertaker's first WrestleMania was at WrestleMania 7, we are going to rebook WrestleMania 7. And obviously, maybe we'll get at the Molloy rating because you did tell me you watched it. So we'll get the Molloy rating on that. And then maybe, I feel like this would be an easy one to make better. But we'll see. I mean, it's also really undercardish because the roster's not so deep. I can't wait to hear what our rebookings are, but that's later in the show. So let's start out. Do you have the Vader thing written down? You want to go into that?
Yeah, let's start with the Hall of Fame. So I was thinking I saw Vader, and the first thing that popped in my mind is like, are they trying to get his kid?
Oh, really?
Wrestling?
Why?
Because
I got that.
Vader's son was pretty much a standout in high school, and then a standout in college. I'm pretty sure he went to Oklahoma, because JR talks about on his podcast how
Dang, went to Oklahoma.
He took Vader there and his son, and he already promised to go to UCLA or something like that. And then he was like, "Nah, I want to go here.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wonder how Vader felt about that because I'm pretty sure Vader went to University of Colorado.
Yeah, well, that's where they're from, the West Coast.
No,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. No, Colorado. I forget what they're in now. They used to be Pac-12. I thought they used to be Big 12 too.
Yeah, because I know Jr. called him and was like, "Yo, does your boy want to see Oklahoma?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, went and picked him up and everything, and JR's been a fan of Oklahoma, obviously his whole life, has season tickets.
Of course, yeah.
And it probably knows the coaches and stuff from going to every game. And it's like, I don't know, if I was a coach in football, I'd be like, CJR, I would go out of my way to meet him.
Of course.
So I think that's cool that he's going to the Hall of Fame.
So you think there's a hidden agenda?
But I wonder if it is to get him in.
They did that with Carlos Colon, I believe, to buy the Puerto Rico library. So, sometimes there are little hidden agendas. Either way, I think we could all agree, every wrestling fan that's
they deserve it.
They can go back. Obviously, yeah, Carlos Colon deserved it. Vader deserved it. I just think that Carlos Colon, he could have went in a little bit earlier. Obviously, we all think because Vader's more of our generation, growing up, he definitely should have been in while he was alive.
Yeah, because he died in 2009.
No, a couple years ago, 4 years ago maybe. Remember Mick Foley was making this big petition yo, Vader's dying.
He had a heart issue.
Let's try to get him
right?
in. Yeah, let's try to get him in. And obviously it fell short. So I'm sure Mick Foley's happy now, even though he deserved it while he was alive, like Foley said. So I do. He was one of the big men that should have been in. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we did a squash talk we've done so many topics over the years, dude. We probably have duplicated multiple segments.
Yeah, but you're gonna have different
ideologies. No, that's cool about it. It's we duplicated, but you can definitely tell you're human. You're gonna have different thoughts about it as you every minute, right? As you evolve. So, Vader and Bam Bam and Psycho Sid, they were the three big men that haven't been really inducted yet. Obviously Vader. If you were to put that order, if you were to give me the order, I think Vader would be the number one of a lot of people's lists.
Yeah.
For mine too, I think it would go Vader, Bam Bam, Psycho Sid. I wouldn't argue with anybody if it went Vader, Psycho Sid, Bam Bam. But either way, I think all three of them deserve to go in. Speaking of Psycho Sid, he's actually rumored to be the next one. So you're trying to think if you do actually Taker, Vader, Psycho Sid, and you could even throw in Bam Bam because there's still 2 more weeks before the Mania. You could, you said, this is going to be the biggest Hall of Fame ever because it's all big men.
And it's Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah, but then you have to think of a female, right? You have to get a female in there.
Of course you do. It's just I don't know who. I would see Victoria maybe. She was a trailblazer for women in the.
I feel that's not a big enough name though.
Yeah, for women.
Sable.
Yeah, that'd be big. That'd be really big, honestly.
I think that'd be a big one.
And it kind of like puts.
And
a
obviously
button
she's
on
not
that
big,
era.
but I mean her name is huge.
Yeah, and that era of wrestling too, and like, I mean, she's gonna be there anyways with Lesnar, so it's like.
Yeah, you said that last week. Yeah, when we talked about it.
And that'd be cool to see her get inducted by like maybe Ivory. That'd
Yeah,
be cool.
something like
they had
that.
A little
Yeah.
storyline together.
They had a couple. Yeah.
You could.
Jacqueline.
Yeah, they honestly.
Brock Lesnar. Mark Marrow.
That'd be awkward.
Mark Marrow?
Yeah, what if they put them in together? Mark Marrow and Sable.
I can definitely tell you. I mean, obviously, Sable might not go in this year, so maybe in like 4 years, but I can guarantee you Mark Marrow would probably not be in the Hall of Fame. You think he would get in? There's no way.
Nah. He talked a lot of shit, man.
No, Mark Marrow? I don't think so. What do you think he talks shit about?
I don't know. Probably like.
I remember he said that the one interview was really funny. I know Pritchard loves him because he was talking about him. He just said I think they signed him and made him. Like Vince was just so in love with him that he forced his gimmick and it just didn't work. But
yeah, I think Vince was in love with Bad News Brown, or what was he called in WCW?
Oh, Johnny B. Bad.
Johnny B. Bad, not Bad News Brown.
I was like, Bad News Brown was like in the 80s. But what was I gonna say? Mark Marrow always says like, Sable, I know you're cheating on me, or Raina, I know you're cheating on me. Like, whoever it is, I'm gonna beat their ass. And then she tells him it's like Brock Lesnar. He's like, well, I'll see you later, because I ain't gonna beat his ass. It's a really funny. Like he seems like he's a very good heart. He's like a motivational speaker too. So.
Yeah, he's he's a hot talking shit. He's like him and Sean Stasiak are like way different than they were in wrestling.
Yeah, I mean? Definitely don't think Marrow's gonna be in the Hall of Fame. But you think Psycho Sid will get in?
That's
this
the
year?
rumors and reports. I mean, that's pretty cool. I think Psycho Sid definitely deserves it. Have a hell of a run between WCW and WWF. He kind of went back and forth a lot. Also, he might be, unless there's a softball game, I'm sure he'll be there.
Nah, dude, March. I mean, It's in Texas, so there might be like a celebrity game.
Yeah.
But I hope if he has a speech, I hope he does like bring that up.
Yeah.
Because that's just an ongoing like new pop culture thing that everybody talks about. But then when you think about it, you're like, oh crap, that's kind of true. Like he was never around in the summertime. So he's one of the most over wrestlers ever. But just because of like the short runs he had in each company, like WCW, so over. But then like 89 to 90, he's there. 91, he comes in. Dude, I always say that.
He made events with Hogan in 92. I mean, that's crazy.
Dude, that pop, though, when he eliminates Hogan in 92 Rumble is so... And then what he has in 91 at the SummerSlam when he's a referee, pops are crazy.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, he's gone right after Mania, which, like you said, is absolutely crazy because he main events. And then he's so over in 96 with Shawn. He's just an over... He just had that charisma that people just were like, yo, he's a badass dude. He's cool. So I can't... It's crazy, like that softball thing theory could be true, but I do definitely think he deserves it. 2-time WWE champion, and then obviously main evented two Manias, and then obviously had huge success in WCW and NWA. Too. Yep, exactly. So if you can get those three, and then that'd be really cool. And they all actually had rivalries with Taker in the mid '90s. So that's also like a cool correlation. But let's go with Vader because he's obviously definitely in the Hall of Fame. Favorite Vader match?
I really liked him versus Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like. I think I like the Cactus Jack one. It's Halloween Havoc, if I'm not mistaken.
1994.
I think it's. I was gonna say I think it's '93, but maybe it's not. I'd have to rewatch it. I'm probably.
Him?
That's a good. That'd be cool.
Man, I don't know who else would.
Yeah, in WWE likewise. I don't. Yeah, you're right. I don't think any. Maybe Flair. Oh no, never mind. Definitely not Flair.
Not Flair.
Definitely not Flair. Who called Vince inducted Taker, by the way.
That's awesome.
It is. Yeah, I'll go with him against Cactus Jack. It's just a really physical style match. But I think as a backup, I would go with. Yeah, I think I'll go Shawn too. Although him and Taker had a couple decent matches too. You said Victoria. I said Sable. Well, you didn't say Victoria. You suggested that. You think they put a tag team in still or no?
I mean, Demolition to really make it the biggest Hall of Fame of all time.
You're just giving taglines right
biggest.
now. Baddest.
Hall of Fame smelliest.
There you go. Could
of
be.
all time.
Oh yeah, so we'll definitely see what happens in that. That's like what is it? It's right after SmackDown. They're marketing it as a 2-for-1. They get SmackDown and the Hall of Fame in one night, which is gonna be crazy because like, what are you gonna be there till like midnight? SmackDown's over at 10.
Yeah, I would just kind of do like a mix of both, like have a wrestler come out and talk and have a SmackDown match. I don't know.
I mean, that's cool, but I think that's also stupid. Like, you're going to have a nice, elegant speech for the legend, and then you're going to come out with, like...
Sami Zayn
versus... Rick Boogs against...
Yeah, Rick Boogs
or Bruggs or whatever against, like, Ricochet. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of detrimental. But either way, we'll obviously see what happens there. Let's go to WrestleMania before we go to AEW then.
Before that, just kind of going to WrestleMania, what did you think of Vince on the Pat McAfee Show? We both listened to that. What'd you thoughts?
We did. We talked about it in our first episode that we did last week, but then because we didn't want to go over the time, we didn't talk about it. But I thought it was cool. I thought it was very business. Like, I feel like Pat was trying to get into Vince's mind on a business level.
Yeah.
And then incorporating a couple, like, I think it was more business related in regards to, like, his feelings about stuff, and then, like, he'll sprinkle a little personal in there. I liked it though. I think people were just trying to, like, it's just crazy, like, how, like, marks hate WWE, and then obviously some WWE just, like, hate other wrestling promotions. And it's like, for me, like, yeah, I follow WWE like you're the guy that usually goes to other promotions.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only, like, I don't even watch sports, bro. I just follow pro wrestling, and I started watching a little bit more, like, mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
So that's all I watch.
I was going to say, like, I watch WWE and then a whole bunch of sports. I do watch a little bit of AEW when I can. I definitely watch their YouTube clips, like I do with WWE. If AEW ever comes out, which they did buy Ring of Honor, so they might come out this streaming, I'll definitely watch AEW more. But that's the only one I would pretty much watch outside of WWE. But, like, I just feel like people were, like, they're like, oh, Vince is, like, you know, there's an agenda here, like, what is it? And it's like, he actually seemed kind of genuine to me.
Yeah, I don't think
all the stories that you hear.
No, it's like, and honestly, like, I hate to compare the two, but I guess you could. I would say it's more like Donald Trump prior to becoming president. Like, he would just do interviews with people. He was very cool, calm, and collective. Like he really had no agendas. Like, he would just be like...
Well, they're friends, too.
He'd be on the Dr. Phil show doing something. Like, just talking about nothing. And Vince is kind of the same way. Like, there was no reason he really needed to go on the Pat McAfee show. He could have did that whole thing with Austin Theory completely different.
Oh, and they kind of teased that on that Monday going into the Pat McAfee show. Like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? So I definitely get what you're saying.
So there's a lot of different ways you go into it. And I just think it's just like, he's and that's why I compare him to Donald Trump. It's like, he's rich... old prior to presidency, but he's a rich old dude with more money than God, but just kind of wants to be a normal person. Like, that's even, like, if you even stay with Donald Trump, it's not like he's, like, prior again to presidency.
I got you.
It never came off like, I'm better than you. Like, he's out having fun. Like, he was doing, like, WrestleMania shows. Like, okay, a guy that took himself that seriously wouldn't have been involved in that. And then on the hand thing too, like, Vince McMahon was on Howard Stern. He was on
I think Vince
Good Morning America, everything. I think it's anything to move his brand forward, just like Donald Trump was with The Apprentice,
of course,
and all of his books and everything else. And it's to help build your brand, and you're the face of that brand.
Yeah.
But, like, everyone thinks Vince is like this old moron, and Vince sound more hip than, like, more people that I know that are in their 40s or 50s. He's like, yeah, fuck this dude, like, blah, blah, blah. But this is how he talks. He's just like, like, oh, I like to power lift. Yeah, I wake up and do this, like. You know what would be a cool spot for him? He'd probably be cool on the Joe Rogan show.
Probably. I think it'd be really cool. I just think with Vince, right, like, you could definitely tell he's, obsessed with the business. Because
that's all he cares about.
He spends, like he said, and you hear this with everybody. It's like, obviously there's some ex-wrestlers that have a gripe, a.k.a. CM Punk, who's still talking shit about WWE not buying, like, he's so happy they didn't buy Ring of Honor or whatever. It just irritates me. But, like, most of the other people are like, you know, like, yeah, Vince, you know, he's intimidating, but he always has an open door. That's what everybody always says. And then obviously creative is a different thing. Like, that's whatever. But I did the way like, what I took from that interview was, like, he just spends 110% into his business, and then
he likes to work out.
And then he likes to work out to keep a level mind because he's so into the business and he has so many business meetings. And I thought it was so interesting. And, like, for me, like, personally, like, obviously on a way, 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 way lower level, it's like, you could definitely tell he knows how to compartmentalize.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, what, and like Pat McAfee asked, like, what happens if you have like a bad meeting and you have to go to another one? He's like, you can't bring that energy into the other meeting because it's going to sway your emotion.
Yeah.
And which is true. And he's like, any negative emotion or any energy that I have, I put it towards weightlifting because it brings me back down to, like, after I'm done with my gym session, it brings me back down to focus on, you know, to put the rest of my energy after my resting to the company. Which,
and that's big for Pat McAfee too, because he has so many Pat McAfee is like a Vince McMahon or like
he kind of is of like
side.
this a podcast. Like I mean, obviously Joe Rogan probably is, but like in regards to like satirical sports, like Pat McAfee.
Part
to
of
me,
my take, Pat McAfee
yeah,
2.0.
like,
Then he's doing this wrestling thing. He has a lot of brands, and like just like Vince said, like you're like, because the one question was I thought was pretty cool was like, why don't you call them wrestlers?
Yeah.
He's like, because they're superstars.
Yeah.
He's like, there's so much more than wrestlers.
Yeah.
Which is the truth. They're actors. Mm-hmm. Some of them are bodybuilders. Some of them are
past athletes.
Past athletes, Olympic athletes that can do more. And then actually after they leave wrestling, they can go do something else. And it was cool just like to hear like the respect factor a lot of people have backstage and all like.
And you can still tell he loves wrestling too, because he's like anybody can wrestle.
Yeah.
He's like you could wrestle good, you could wrestle bad.
Yeah.
So it's like he doesn't have a gripe against like the wrestling terminology. It's just like he sees like it's actually part of that same question. Pat McAfee's like it used to be called like a carny. It was like a circus or carny was actually the word I was looking for. So thank you. He's like, how did you take it to the global level? And he's like, that's what it is. Like you have to think of different terminologies and make it sound bigger than what it is. He's like, anybody can wrestle, but he's like, can you be a superstar? Like, can you be that level?
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you. It's like, oh, you actually hear him explain it instead of just hearing Meltzer say, oh, you can't say this word anymore because obviously he's bashing Vince. But, like, hearing Vince talk about it, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, obviously it's against the narrative of, like, what AEW might want or Impact or, New Japan. But it's like, for the U.S. market, makes 100% sense.
Because even, too, you look at someone like CM Punk. I could see Vince because Vince obviously gave him the title, gave him the weight of the company on him. He's like, I could say, listen, pal, you're not a pro wrestler. Yeah. You're a superstar. And it's like that, but that's kind of like a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be a superstar. Like, as a wrestler, bingo halls, churches.
There's only a couple wrestlers that I think would love. Like, I think Daniel Bryan is, and he obviously says nothing but nice things to say of it. That's why I love Bryan Danielson now. But it's like, I think he's the one that would be like, all right, if I have to be I could be a wrestler. Like, I don't mind being a wrestler.
Because when you're a wrestler, too, you think of it this way. Like, you're working every weekend. You're training every day.
Yeah.
You're driving from here, driving to there. You're getting paid $10. Like, that's a wrestler.
Yeah.
A superstar is a guy who works 2 days a week, but their whole life is working out everything else, and you don't have to drive to the gig.
Yeah.
Someone's taking you to the gig.
Yep.
And it's like, even Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Jon Moxley, those guys who want to be more pro wrestler based, they're superstars just somewhere else.
Yeah, no, of course.
They're not like Joey Janela, who's doing this crazy stuff on the indies still, and then wrestling on Wednesday nights.
Well, I think AEW is
going to town.
They're trying to push the wrestler is. Yeah. It's like NWA. Like Flair was a wrestler. He's a wrestler, even though he's over the top. He's still a wrestler.
He's a
Dusty
Rhodes,
the
biggest
over the
superstar
top.
Him and Dusty are the two biggest superstars of the NWA, AWA.
It's just a thing. Like I feel like people that are wrestling purists, like
it's a pop word.
Yeah, they try to go against the what WWE is, and that's what
honestly,
I think AEW
it's so marky. Like at the end of the day, like the people are like, "Oh, you're a mark," blah blah blah. I'm like, and they're like, "You're not pro." I'm like, actually, you guys are the ones that are marks.
I always say that, like, yeah, we do a wrestling
podcast.
I was gonna say, yeah, we do a wrestling podcast, so we probably come off marky.
Oh,
but
I'm
it's
Markzilla, baby, but I'm not like.
But I'm
not a pro wrestler. I'm not a superstar. I'm a pro wrestler. Hey, listen, I wish I was a superstar because I want to live in a townhouse. I live in 4 townhouses.
I mean, you have a very nice house. We're obviously in the studio Dane Malloy, so let's just clarify that. But no, like for me, it's like I'm trying to like say with us, like, yeah, we're doing a wrestling podcast because like but I think we do it because we like it. You know what I mean? We're not doing it because like, oh, I have a bone to pick with AEW, and it's like, oh, well, you obviously like you watch multiple ones, so it's like I have a bone to pick with WWE. It's like I like AEW. I just don't have the time to consume it as much as I do. Same thing with WWE, but like I said, WWE has a streaming service, so I can get to it whenever I can.
Exactly.
AEW, unfortunately, not yet, which I do think is coming soon, is going to have a streaming service, so I will definitely watch that. When Kenny Omega was in New Japan, I actually almost thought about getting the New Japan World streaming service, but I didn't. But it's like, if there's a wrestler that I like, if the money's right, I don't mind consuming, other like wrestling products. But so like, I'm not marking an aspect of like, oh my God, you can't say belt in WWE, or oh my God, they're wrestlers, not superstars, or oh my God, AEW is so much better.
Yeah, a championship is what you have around your waist.
Yeah, true.
But
But I'm just
digressing.
saying, yeah. But yeah, I'm just talking about like the Vince McMahon-isms or whatever. But that, like, I don't mind it because like that's his brand. That's what he wants to call it. Obviously, in a conversation, if we're talking about the WWE belt, we're gonna say the belt. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like people just get so hung up on like it's social media age. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you hear, it's like, oh my god. And it's just like,
and then hearing from the wrestlers too, it's just like, dude, at the end of the day, I don't agree all the time with what I had to do at certain jobs, but guess what? Every 2 weeks,
dude. Yeah.
There's a direct deposit from that company in my checking account. I'm just like,
100%.
Okay, cool. And so that's one thing there.
I do hope that McAfee gets more. I mean, obviously he's had Rollins on the show. He's had obviously Adam Cole, which kind of probably started the wrestling guests. Brock obviously was huge. He's had Austin on the year before, not in person, but Zoom or whatever. Vince was a huge one. Michael Cole multiple times. So it'd be cool to see if he could do this like maybe once a month or whatever. Keep it going with different people because I do think it opens up like Vince. I'm like, that's cool because he hasn't done one literally since the Bob Costas or Howard Stern. I forget whichever one was the last one.
Yeah,
back in 02.
That wasn't too good.
Yeah, so it was cool. Speaking of McAfee, though, he did get offered to do a WrestleMania match. McAfee accepted.
WrestleMania's shaping up, bro.
Yeah, I like it. So him in theory, I mean, we'll obviously do in whatever it is, the first week of April. So that Friday before, we'll obviously discuss match by match. Maybe probably spend a good amount of time on it. But we have a couple matches since the last time we talked about the championship matches that got announced. But we got McAfee Theory. Steve Austin obviously was a huge one a couple days ago, accepting KO's offer to, I'm assuming it's just a fight, or at least a KO show that's going to turn into a fight. So I don't think it's going to be a match.
Or I have the KO show on Friday night, then Saturday night, the main event is Austin versus Kevin Owens.
Nah, dude, there's no way. I think they wanted a match, but I think Austin didn't want to lose. I think he has respect for Kevin Owens, but he didn't want to beat Kevin Owens. And I think they thought, okay, let's just do what we did with you returning to beat Rikishi, but not beat Rikishi. It's like, all right, Rikishi's this new big heel. We can't have him lose his, first big match. So we'll just say it's a non-sanctioned, like, no DQ fight or something like that, whatever it is. I think that's what they're going to kind of do with Austin and Kevin Owens, which I think will still be cool. It's entertaining. It would be a good, 15-minute segment, even though it won't be a match. We got Miz, Logan Paul against the Mysterios, which is like a cool feature tag team match like they did with Bad Bunny last year. You think Miz is like the safest worker in WWE? Or like the most relied upon by Vince?
I think definitely for sure, because he's always been there. He's never left.
Yeah.
Reliable, and I think, too, like, he's such a good wrestler and such a good heel. He's definitely, he would fit in well with the Paul brothers.
For pop culture, I think ever since, Dancing with the Stars, obviously he started with the Real World, but he, took off, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like he's
Miz and Mrs.
no matter what, I could say to, my wife or, one of her friends or KP or one of, that whole group of our girlfriends and wives and stuff. Yeah. We'd be like, do you know who the Miz is? And they'd be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. He's
he has the pop culture references, and two, it's just he's pretty damn good worker.
He's a good worker. He's a safe worker. And then obviously
who did Miz injure? Nobody. He never gets injured either.
No, exactly. And he's also been established. He's a multiple-time champion, various multiple-time mid-card champion. So he has that kind of
he's been there
resume.
For almost 20 years
yeah,
too. So
he has that resume that can kind of bring that match to. And obviously Ray. This is a cool little feature match with his son. And I don't think he's going to retire, obviously. I do think they have a breakup when Dominic's ready. I think if Dominic was ring ready now, I think they would have done it, but maybe WrestleMania, it's in California, so his home state next year at 39. Yeah. That'd be kind of a cool way to go. Passing of the torch. Then we got a women's tag match, man. I thought it was going to be Sasha and Lita, Sasha and Naomi, which I'm cool with still. That's kind of a cool new tag team going up against Zelina and Carmella. And then on Monday, we had Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan get added to it. So it's a triple threat. As of right now, I do think there's going to be one more. I think there's going to be an NXT team.
Yeah, I think that. But I think
Raquel and Io, maybe.
I think that's super cool to see Naomi kind of get some spotlight.
I agree. She's always been one of those, almost like Alexa Bliss, but obviously Alexa's been having a lot of concussion issues. Naomi's been always one of those safe workers, at least ones that have been consistent throughout the years. So I do, if they do an NXT, I'm interested to see the tag team because I think Io's a big name, Raquel's a big name, Dakota Kai's a big name. I just don't know the dynamic of the women's division at NXT because that's one thing I have not watched. Although Ziggler did win the title.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I actually like that.
Yeah, you think Braun comes up?
No, I think him and Braun WrestleMania have a match. That's the way to put
NXT title?
way to spotlight the NXT title. I think it's just to help that brand get over, and it's also like Dolph and Bobby Roode have so much to offer, and they probably don't want to lose them to AEW.
Yeah. Do you think
I don't think they would fit in AEW. I think NXT is a good spot for them for right now.
Yeah, I do think they do a split down the road because the glorious Bobby Roode's always a safe thing to go to.
Oh, dude.
But even like Ziggler, like him and Miz, like Ziggler and Kofi, like those three have been like from what, mid 2000s. Obviously Orton's just in another level.
Yeah.
But like right below them, like if there was a next generation, it's like those three, right?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. So, I mean, I do like the little like mini shine that Ziggler's getting now because I do think he got cheap shotted, even though it was concussion related with the World Heavyweight title back in 2013. We did forget one last match, Edge AJ. Show stealer or no?
Yeah, I read a report that AJ's injured, but
like legit, right?
Yeah.
I did see that, but I think that's storyline related.
I hope it is too.
I hope it is.
Either way,
because this was supposed to be the 2020 match.
If it's nothing serious, something's bruised or something, you still have a long period of time.
Yeah.
Until WrestleMania is still April 2nd or 3rd, depending on what day of the week you're on the show. So that's cool. I think that'll probably be one of the best matches on the card. It's a featured match. Because I think Edge only has so many more in the tank, and so does AJ, quite frankly.
Well, no, AJ just got that extension.
3 years.
Yes, I mean, I definitely think he has. Yeah, I definitely think he has 2 to 3 more Manias.
And I hope he has a championship one in there maybe next year.
One more
cool.
sayonara, yeah. Or like one more final championship match at Mania. 2 more things before we go to AEW. We got a new tag team champions for Raw. Orton and Riddle got it back again. So
they're never splitting up. Orton even commented, he's like, dude, this is the best fun I ever had. He's like, this kid's actually my friend.
Hey,
because they smoke a shit ton of weed together.
They could build it till 39.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, if it's rolling this much with the merchandise and the entertainment,
hey,
you could always build it till next year. That'd be cool. Orton needs another He's another one that needs like a championship match too, because I feel like he really hasn't had a. I mean, he's obviously at 30, and he had 24, but they're both triple threat matches. And 30. I always forget about 33 because it was just weird with Bray Wyatt. But the last one, Seth Rollins, man, who does he have? Who's he facing? Anybody?
He's blacked out, dude, on social media.
Oh my God, unbelievable.
Who do you
Take. I'm still pushing the Taker one. But, all right, that's Mania. Obviously, as we get to it, we'll get that Malloy hype rating. We should start doing hype ratings, maybe.
Hype ratings. It's going to be 10 out of 10 until it actually happens, and I'm just like...
And then that's what we could do. You know what I mean? No, you wouldn't have given... Well, give me a shitty one. You definitely wouldn't have given, like, Extreme Rules... No, you liked Extreme Rules, didn't you? No, you liked Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I liked Money in the Bank during COVID.
So
that was a good one.
Yeah, but you didn't... Did you like Extreme Rules? I forget what it was called. Like, the horror show?
Yeah, that was weird.
Okay, yeah, you wouldn't give that a 10 on the hype train. You would have gave it like a 6 or a 7.
Hey, I would have gave like Great Balls of Fire. I would have gave that like a 6, but that actually wasn't a bad paper.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch it, but I remember the Samoa Joe Brock Lesnar match was very good. But let's go to AEW now. Obviously, Mania might be getting built in a way to deflect all the praise that AEW Revolution has got, because I did see they got a lot of good reviews. I saw the highlights, looked good. The results looking good. I just wish I got to see the content, but hey, that's what happens when you have that. We're both under that 1 year parenthood. So, a couple of the results though. Hangman obviously retained the title. Britt Baker, I actually called her losing. She retained the title. Jade Cargill retained her TBS title. Jurassic Express in a triple threat tag team match retained their title. TNT oh no, that wasn't on the line. That was in the Triangle Trios match. Warlow, that's the other like main thing. He retained in the not retained. He became the face of the Revolution ladder match winner, which means he's now the #1 contender for the TNT title, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But I will say, Warlow against MJF for the TNT title in a couple months will be great, because I do think Sammy loses and goes to that main event level.
Yeah.
All that to say, obviously, we had CM Punk win the dog collar match. Eddie Kingston, I thought, was the biggest surprise over Jericho. Maybe a little tease of a heel Jericho. And then, did I miss any? Moxley over Daniel Bryan, which I thought was...
And then a Regal showed up.
That's what I was going to go into before we go into the actual results.
And then Sting did his big dive.
Yeah, what do you think about that? That was the match that I'm seeing a lot of the highlights on. Obviously, they had a lot more leniency with what they did outside the ring. But I don't know what we want to talk about first. The Sting bump, Regal showing up. Do you like the Regal signing?
I'll just give Sting a little...
I agree with that. Toast.
62
Toast
years
thing.
old. Here's to you, buddy.
Swig, boom. We should do that, like three chugs. You get a chug, I'll get a chug, and then we'll both chug to somebody. It's almost like hockey. They get the 3 stars.
We need more beer.
Well, no, we don't need to do it now. What I'm saying for every pay-per-view, AEW or WWE, or control your narrative.
Yeah. I don't think that'll be...
We won't be toasting to that. Yeah. But AEW or WWE, I think we could do that. Or we each give 3 chugs or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, Sting definitely deserved one. That's our both. But what do you think about the Regal signing?
That's cool. I see more going to have more backstage capacity, which I think is good for business. He did really well with NXT. He's a good trainer. He's a good worker.
I just wish, I don't know. To me, it's
I
like,
wish
if
AEW
it was
would
backstage,
stop.
yes, if it was backstage, keep it backstage. You don't need to put him on camera. Like they did with Mark Henry.
Exactly.
Like, why'd you bring him out? Just say you signed him. That's fine.
Yep.
Like, you don't need to make it grandiose because now you're making it seem like WWE is
guess
your
what?
major
Dean
league.
works there too.
Yeah.
Never see him.
Yeah, like that's what you should do. Like anybody that's backstage, Big Show, even though I know they try to make him like a talent, but Mark Henry, Regal, I'm trying to think of a couple others, but it's like those that are going to be like primary backstage, just keep them backstage because like the more you bring them out for like a huge pop, it's like you're pretty much saying like WWE is like major leagues for right now, and then you're.
Yeah, I would agree.
You know what I mean? Like, it just, I don't know.
They get bumped back down to the minor leagues.
Yeah, it's just weird.
They're playing in the JFL, whatever,
yeah.
football league.
Yeah, so it's like, just keep them backstage. I mean, I think it's a great signing backstage. Like, him, Mark Henry, Big Show. Obviously, like you said, you got Malenko and Arn Anderson, who obviously have that. I mean, Arn Anderson and Malenko, they have that wrestling background on top of the entertainment level.
I thought the Arn Anderson thing with Cody was cool, but
But that makes sense because like Arn Anderson's not really ever been related to WWE, and same thing with Malenko. Like Malenko had a year pretty much with WWE. He's more known for the WCW, the wrestling, obviously New Japan and stuff like that. But like Big Show, it's like all right, like you're WWE. Mark Henry, you're WWE. So like I know you're there to kind of promote the wrestling in regards to the television production. Yeah. And then obviously Malenko and Arn Anderson are there for like the wrestling portion of it. And Regal could probably do both, honestly, because he's a great wrestler and obviously he's been a part of the production team forever. So I love that signing. I don't know. I just don't like him on screen. I mean, maybe they're trying to do something where he's trying to get them together, Moxley and Bryan. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I was most shocked with Kingston.
So was I.
And I'm happy. I saw a tweet. If Kingston can get that Mick Foley title run where it's like just shocking the world, I think he's that Foley with like the underdog. No matter what the match is, he's the underdog.
Yeah, I mean, just think of it this way: he didn't become popular until he's at mid-40s.
Yeah,
I mean, he's an older guy. But I think he's a hell of a worker. He does a great job. He had some great feuds so far. I could see him going after that world title, him versus Hangman Page. Like not him versus Hangman. I was actually thinking besides Wardlow versus MJF, I thought MJF would be going after the title.
Losing to Punk, you think that elevates him? It could. You're right. That could definitely happen. I mean, Hangman needs you would think a heel, like booking wise, even though I know AEW they don't really play to the natural booking right now, which is okay. Like, sometimes WWE doesn't do it either, but
exactly.
I always just feel like the best matches are like when you're invested in somebody that you do not like and somebody that you do like.
Exactly. Yeah,
so
I agree too.
I just always instinctively think like that, but I know modern day times with social media, it doesn't always happen that way.
Well, MJF I think is the best heel.
Oh no! I mean, he's always like he's a heel. I'm not saying that. I'm just meant like he's a heel, mother effer. But I just meant like I know AEW they might do like a Hangman versus like Moxley soon, something like that. You know what I mean? It's a face versus face, or they might even do like I'm trying to think of somebody that I don't even know honestly.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess Kingston was what was Kingston, like a face and a face, right? Like so they've been doing like faces and faces, like so I don't know, but I thought Baker was gonna lose, man. Obviously she won. That's cool.
Jade Cargill won too.
Yeah, she did. She had a cool entrance too. I think she's like the next. I would love for her to be like that'd be cool. She's double champion, but then that also kind of like limits your secondary title already. But
yeah, that secondary title, I don't really like it. I'm not a fan. I don't think their women's division is that deep.
It could. I agree with you. Like I do think that it will get deep because they have a lot of talent, but I just think they need more TV time.
Yeah.
They can have like,
a
if
whole
it was like
women's
next
show
year,
like on a Tuesday or something. Like
yeah, and that's when you could maybe do that. But I just think they're like a year away with it because Conti's getting some airtime. Obviously, Jade's getting airtime. Rose has been there. Of course, I'm thinking of who?
Ruby Soho.
Ruby Soho, Nyla Rose.
Nyla Rose.
So it's like, yeah, they just need more time, I think. And then obviously Britt.
Now, do you see like any of the younger people, I would say like indie darlings coming in for the TNT title, like looking at Sami Zayn? Like, would you see like maybe like a Sonny Kiss, Joey Janela, some of the other people?
I think Joey would have if they brought that in at the initial like year or like 2 months in, maybe. Because I thought he had a lot of steam. I don't know what happened. I feel like he doesn't have steam there. I like to see Miro get it soon again because he just signed that extension.
I would see
4-year extension.
Title.
I mean, I could see that too. That'd be cool. I mean, I like to see that too.
I'd rather see
Miro
versus Hangman's and another good.
See, I just want Kenny to come back, dude. That's all I care about.
Yeah, he's a franchise.
Yeah, to me, he's just.
And then
he was just entertaining as a heel with Don Callis, man.
Yeah, that was great.
And then, I mean, I will say, we always keep saying stop signing WWE guys, but to me, dude, Cesaro is a guy that's like, I feel like you got to get him.
Yeah, he's the best wrestler I think in the world.
He's one of definitely. Yeah, I think he's definitely one of them, and I just think he's a guy that you got to get. And
you see him going to Ring of Honor.
Well, they just bought Ring of Honor.
So how do you think that works? What do you think of that?
I mean, he was essentially doing that. Like, wasn't Jay Lethal technically Ring of Honor?
There, yeah.
He was already there.
And so is Switchblade. So is.
Is Switchblade from Ring of Honor or New Japan though?
I think it was in both.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say. I know that you said that partnership deal, so I didn't know how it worked. But yeah, Jay
Strickland. He was an ROH guy.
Oh yeah, Sean Strickland.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of these guys are already coming to work there anyway. So it's
I think he bought it for the library.
I think so too.
Because I think.
Do you think because they're saying like Cody's gonna be running Ring of Honor versus like I don't know. I think Cody's WWE. I just think it's. I don't know, man.
It could be. Well, I definitely think after Mania, because I don't think he'll be there in time for Mania unless you can do Cody Seth, but I don't think that would work. I mean, I guess it could happen, right? Like,
it'd be a good match.
It would be cool for him to be like a shock factor for Seth to have a match at that show, but excuse me, I think Tony has to start thinking about like streaming services to get more eyes on the product. Now, I don't know if that would do a pay-per-view wise. I'm sure the pay-per-view buys help him pay the talent that he has. I don't know how that would work, obviously, but I just think for like people that can't obviously access it all the time, like me, because I'm selfish, let's get that service. And I think he needs that Ring of Honor library to, also add content because the company's only 3 years in. You know what I mean? 4 years in. It's gonna be 4 years in.
Yeah,
this year.
And just think 2 years of it was during a pandemic.
Yeah, so you definitely need to add some more content. Now, CM Punk's comment, I just can't stand. But at the same time, he also said that, I'm glad that Tony got the content, so he could do something with it, which I get. You need that.
Funny thing with CM Punk was they were showing an old Rock tweet, and The Rock tweeted like right before right before his WrestleMania against Cena when he won the belt from CM Punk, and he's just like, I drew more money in one WrestleMania than he did in your whole career.
Dang.
Which is probably true. Which is hilarious.
Pick a WrestleMania. Yeah. The Rock with Hogan at 18, 17. Although CM Punk probably made a good chunk of change after WWE. Yeah. UFC, AEW.
Comic book stuff.
Comic book stuff, yeah, Marvel. So, yeah, I'm sure he got some good little dinero after WWE.
Just think, WWE wrestlers are getting paid a lot more now than The Rock was in 1996.
Yeah, but also the buy rates were 10 times crazier.
Yeah.
Give me a match that you want to see post Revolution.
I'd really like to see Vader or not Vader.
What the heck?
Miro versus Hangman Page. I think I'd like to see him in the main event. He's kind of not been on TV. I just think him going to the main event scene would be cool because it was something that was never done.
I want to see Moxley CM Punk. I'm just going off of wins.
In a death match.
Maybe a hardcore type match. I don't know. I don't want to see like a dog collar match. I feel like I've seen that twice already in the last year and a half.
I've seen more dog collar matches the last 2 years.
In my life, too. My whole life, bro. But I just feel like you go with the two winners. Then maybe you could do Daniel Bryan, MJF. Obviously, that you could even further tease the Warlow thing. I mean, that might happen now. So you could even do Adam Cole versus Daniel Bryan. I don't know.
What do you think? What's the next pay-per-view?
You would know that more than me. Is it All Out?
All Out or All In, one of those two.
It's all something.
Yeah, it's all something. All Elite, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. That's kind of like my thoughts on AEW. I think it was an overall, from what I saw from the clips, it was a good show.
Yeah, a lot of good reception, man. There, a lot of people are saying this is like the best of all time. I mean, you know what? I'll go Daniel Bryan, Sammy Guevara. That's what I'll go with. And then I'll go CM Punk, Moxley. Those are the 2 matches I want to see. Unless Omega comes back, I like to see the rematch too. So those are like 3 matches that come back.
CM Punk Omega would be cool too.
I agree. Jericho heel soon. That's another thing I want to see. Anything else? Did I miss anything? You think Sting and Darby Allin ever split? You think it's just too cool?
If I was Darby, I'd be like, no.
Yeah, please no. I need you. I need you right now. And then I always forget about the participants in the ladder match too. Like Keith Lee was in there, Powerhouse Hobbs. So I mean, there's some talent in there too. I mean, this is a good roster, man.
Powerhouse Hobbs, man, and he's a hell of a worker.
Yeah,
I wish we saw more of him and Brian Cage. I don't know what Brian Cage's deal is. I actually would like to see Brian Cage in WWE, but that's besides the point.
I remember they wanted him like that. I think it was him, not Warlow. I know they had their eyes on one of the two.
AEW re-signed Brian Cage.
Oh, so there you go.
Yeah, so that was strange.
Definitely see what happens, but hopefully we can get together for the next one. We'll see what happens.
Hell
yeah. Have a couple high noons. I wonder what the dart match would have been, dude.
I don't know.
Dang, we gotta get together for the dart match.
A lot to not a lot.
What do you think the dart match is gonna be for Mania?
I'll probably win all of them. Yeah.
What?
I'll win all of them. Did you say dart match or dark match?
What's going to be the dart match? Remember we said the dark matches? We're going to call it the dart matches?
Oh, for Mania, it'll probably be that triple threat tag team match for the women's championships.
Okay. We'll see what night that is. We'll have to pick 2 because we have a night 1 and a night 2.
Yeah, if you come over both nights, or I'll come over one night, I'll come over the other night. Like, that'll work out.
That's true, yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll have some fun. Speaking of WrestleMania, let's close out our show with a rebooking of WrestleMania. We haven't done a pay-per-view in a while, I feel like. We've been doing resumes. I figure we could do another resume next week, but let's do a rebooking because we always like to do that. Always those what-if scenarios. And obviously Undertaker's first WrestleMania was at 7. He defeated Jimmy Snuka in real life. This isn't the rebooking part. He actually beat Jimmy Snuka. Other matches on that show obviously was a huge Iraq War realism with the storyline Hogan, and then recently turned American Sergeant Slaughter, who went Iraqi. So we had Sergeant Slaughter as WWE champion against Hogan. Co-main event was Ultimate Warrior versus Savage in a career-ending match. I'll put air quotes in that. Yeah. Although, hey, that's probably the longest realistic retirement match. I mean, Savage didn't come back till one night in Texas, which was December of '91. So, hey, dude, that's like 9 months. That's crazy. Exactly. Good job, WWE.
Hey, Flair never came back.
Well, that's true. He never came back. Although Impact Tape says otherwise. Other matches on that card: IC Championship match, Mr. Perfect and Big Boss Man. Tag Team Championship matches: Hart Foundation versus Nasty Boys. And then a whole bunch of. I think I got the title matches out of the way.
There's about 15 other matches.
Let's say there's 15 matches total. I think they beat. I'm pretty sure it was 14 at WrestleMania 6. WWE said, "Hold my high noon. Let's just one up that. We'll do 15 matches." So yeah, I think I got the title matches out of the way, and then the main co-main out of the way. So if you guys need to go back on it, if you guys aren't watching us, I am not making a graphic for 15 matches that were subpar at best. That'll be nice.
Yes.
So yeah, go on Wikipedia, look at the results, and then if you want to go on the Peacock and watch it, I think there's only one match you could honestly watch. What's up?
My only argument with the Peacock app is that none of them are in order. None of the WrestleManias are in order. If you go to view all, no, they're not. Not on my TV.
Wait, on the maybe we could stream. We'll go on OBS and we'll stream it. But no, if you go to like WrestleMania and you hit view all, like it goes by seasons. For me,
I had to find 7. That took me a while.
So I got to see what you're doing. But no, if you pick, I hate how they're. I mean, WWE towards the end, the network did it too. They didn't have the pay-per-views in order. They didn't even have it in alphabetical order. They had like, I don't know how they did it.
Well, no, it was just like on like the top rated ones. On the top rated ones, it was like watch every WrestleMania. So I clicked on that, and none of them were in order.
So I have to see that because if you go to like if I go to like the pay-per-view or special event section, whatever they call it, and you find WrestleMania, you click into that. And then it will give you like seasons, and obviously every number because how it goes is the WrestleMania. So it'll go like 37 to all the way down to season 1. So that's how I find it. Either way, dude. First of all, I can't stand Peacock.
I'm not a fan.
I'm not even saying Peacock because I should say that because I don't want to say the actual name Peacock. I can't stand it. But what was I saying, dude? You got me so flustered with Peacock now. I hate it. I do wish the network was like, you can't skip matches. You have to actually fast forward. I know I'm being so first world lazy right now, but it's just
but
a fact.
the WWE Network was so much better.
Dude, so much better. Absolutely so much better. Either way, if you guys have the subscription, go on Peacock, watch WrestleMania 7, and then you guys can watch about 15 matches, 11, 12, maybe 13 count, or it don't really matter. And then, yeah, I think the best match, obviously, for me, before we get into this, is Savage Warrior, the career-ending match. I think they got the most time by like 15 seconds over the actual title match. I think they had the better build, obviously, with the WWE title match with Sergeant Slaughter and Hogan. You had some lines you couldn't cross, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know the emotion was there for some people, so they obviously just immediately just disregarded it because it was obviously portrayal and it didn't really, like, it wasn't, some people would say it was in bad taste. Career-ending match, you could always go with that. I think it's always a safer pick, but I just think the wrestling overall was a lot better. But give me the Muller rating. You said you watched it, and then we'll get into some questionnaires before the rebooking.
I'll say 7 out of 10 because it's WrestleMania 7. I see it was.
Bro, don't ever. 7 out of 10, you said. I need to start writing these down like in a... So I could like read...
That was
follow
a joke
everything.
Because
All right,
I would say like it's probably a solid 5.
Okay, that's
It's
fine.
not...
That's fine.
It's in the top 10 of the top first 10.
Nice. I like it. No, honestly, it's probably top 5 of the first 10.
Yeah. It's
But
better than WrestleMania 1. It's better than WrestleMania 4. It's better than WrestleMania...
Dude, it's definitely better than 2.
6?
No. Actually, you could say that, honestly.
It's better than
Honestly,
WrestleMania 2.
Ironically,
Top 3 of the first 10.
Maybe. I think 8-3. I like 6, but you could argue.
Yeah.
I think 10's good.
10 actually isn't bad.
We should do that. It's actually one of the resumes I was going to do. I was actually going to talk to you off air, but since you brought it up before we go into the rebooking, just to not segue too much, we'll do WrestleMania resume of the first 13 WrestleManias. Let's do like the golden era, like the 80s, and then the new generation era. So we'll do WrestleMania resumes. We could either do the whole show, or we could do like the main events of them. So we'll discuss off air about the actual details. But that will be our WrestleMania resume for next week.
It might be a 2-part episode.
Possibly. It'll depend on how much we talk. But let's go back to WrestleMania 7. You gave it a 5 out of 10. Favorite match on the card?
Favorite match on the card was, gotta say, Savage and Ultimate Warrior. It was just the best storytelling one, best match. I'm going to say besides that, the Mr. Perfect match wasn't bad.
Yeah, Big Perfect and Boss Man match actually wasn't too bad at all. If I had to go a second one, I think I would actually go Hart Foundation Nasty Boys. I thought that was a pretty cool match.
That promo before the match was really good.
Yeah, dude, it's very cool. It's just crazy. Like that's the last time you see like Hart being in a tag team for well, actually forever. I was gonna say for years. You know what I mean?
Honestly, the Rockers versus
good opener.
Good opener, yeah.
Barbarian Haku. Yeah, I agree with that. So before we get into our booking, I'm going to throw a couple options out of you. I remember you said you had something to ask, so...
I have one, so I'll throw that at you quick, then you throw yours at me.
Oh, yeah, so I got 3.
Would you prefer if Andre helped out Hogan? Because Andre's like the ultimate baby face.
No.
Even though he's not American, helps out against Colonel Acknog and Sergeant Slaughter. Like, comes in, gives a little punch in the face or something, helps Hogan win the title.
No, I would say no, because I don't know Andre's help at that point.
It looked like he had a hard time getting around the ring.
Yeah, I was going to say, so if you look at SummerSlam 91, which is, I think that's the last... Oh, wait, no, he's there in 92?
I believe
so. Wait,
what
what am I thinking? SummerSlam's after this. So SummerSlam 91, he's in pretty rough shape. I forgot, he's with the Bush... No, when is the Bush? That's the 91. I'm getting him screwed up. Is he on this show?
No, he doesn't wrestle at all. He shows up.
No, did he show up? What match? Do you remember?
He shows up with Bobby Heenan during the Mr. Perfect
match?
and Big Boss Man
That's
match.
what it is. I was going to say, I know he's in that show. I kept thinking about the Madison Square Garden show with the Bushwhackers and Natural Disasters, so that's my mistake. But, no, I just think when you think of Hogan and Andre, you think of Andre as a heel, so... I think it was just safer, and you also don't want to save him for the main event because you don't know how it's going to look. You don't want the lasting image of Andre to like shit the bed, no pun intended, and then that's the main event match. So, like, if once that match is over, like, you're still going to think about that, where I'm pretty sure the IC match is, like, the third or fourth to last, so you could always think, all right, well, if he shits the bed, we still have Hogan to send the crowd home happy. So, I would say no. If it was for somebody to help Hogan,
I'd be like Savage.
I don't even know. It'd have to be Warrior, maybe.
Warrior, yeah, because
those guys were always, like, on screen, obviously, fan favorites. So I feel like you need a fan favorite. Tugboat obviously wasn't there, thank God. But
I mean, you could make it a Mega Powers comeback because he's back with Liz and stuff.
You could do that, but
he's obviously.
But then you think of
lost. His career's over with.
But no, not even that though. But then you always think about the Mega Powers split.
Yeah.
With Warrior, it's like they had their match. They were friends before the match. Obviously, they were intense, but they had the match, and then even after the match, they shook hands and left. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's always been on screen a good moment with those two. So my couple questions. Do you like Slaughter in the main event? Because obviously he's pretty much just back from November. Not even in a main event role. He's in like a sub mid card level. Has his title match with Warrior. Obviously he's the transitional champion. And then right after this, he does have the main event at SummerSlam, but it's obviously not nearly as prominent as being a world champion. And then he's straight mid-card until the end of 92. So it's like he was pretty much just brought in for this storyline. Do you like him in this?
Honestly, I do, because it is a cool storyline at the time. If you go back to that point in time, the Desert Storm was such a big thing. And kind of just having a guy who turns on America. Like, I mean, it hasn't been done in that capacity at that point in time.
Main event level.
So, and Sergeant Slaughter, too, never really had that main event. And Slaughter would have never been a face as world champion. I mean, and all Slaughter was known for at the time was that big match he had against Pat Patterson for the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, in the 80s.
In the 80s, I think it was in Reno or Chino or something like that. I forget. It was a really big thing at the time.
They had like steel cage matches and stuff.
Yeah, so they had some really good matches, and I think bringing him in. I mean, what else you can do?
Nice little payday.
And how do you make a guy who's pretty much considered a war hero, or pretty much like G.I. Joe, go against Hulk Hogan? Yeah, make him bad. He works with to me, I looked at it too. It's just like with the G.I. Joe toys. I think Skinner or Slayer or something like that was the bad guy in the G.I. Joe series. Like G.I. Joe goes works for him.
Yeah.
Or it's like Captain America going to work for Hydra if you want to use Marvel references.
Nice.
So I think that's the only way he could ever been brought in. I mean, I could have thought of 100 different ways to book different people, but Slaughter. I mean, he was older. He never really had that mainstream run.
Yeah.
So good for him. He got a good payday, and he was a good heel.
Here's my thing when it comes to 80s people who never really got a good run post WrestleMania, like mainstream success. Yeah. Instead of Sergeant Slaughter, how about Iron Sheik?
That's even better.
Okay.
Because you could even bring it back to, it's like Hulkamania started because of Sergeant Slaughter at Madison Square Garden when he went to
Iron Sheik, you mean?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So that's what started Hulkamania, and he's like, I'm coming to kill it, America Hakpui, all that stuff, and
it'd be more of a lineage, realistic storyline.
It would have been a hell of a storyline because you would have saw back in the 80s where, he won, he was on top then, and became champion again. And I honestly, it would probably had to do something with Iron Sheik's extracurricular activities.
That's what I say, just wasn't safe, right? And then here's my last question.
That was after the cocaine thing with him and.
Way after, yeah.
Yeah, and like.
But the reason why I asked is because she comes back though for SummerSlam.
Yeah, but he's
like
in a manager role. It's like a tag team partner.
Well, yeah, he's in the triple threat match. Yeah. He's in the Triangle of Terror, whatever. I was just asking because maybe you could push that up. I mean, obviously you don't want him solo, but I was just asking.
That would have been awesome. I love Iron Sheik. I think Sheik versus Hogan at WrestleMania would be cool. It would be amazing.
You can still move quick too. So here's my last question. I feel like this is the first time ever where you could. I mean, obviously triangle matches or triple threat matches were never a thing in the early '90s. That's why you got Yoko in 2 different matches at WrestleMania 10. Do you think if this was obviously in an era where it was acceptable? Can you ever see Hogan versus Warrior versus Savage, or do you think instead of like Sergeant Slaughter, if you want to get away from the realism to get the family away from the war and stuff, you can go back to a WrestleMania rematch with either Warrior or Savage?
I would have liked that trio because it kind of would have tied everything together.
That whole generation, right?
Yeah, that literally would be like having Batista, Lesnar, and Cena in a triple threat match. And
we forgot Orton. We always forget Orton.
Yeah.
It's like Triple H, Austin Rock, but or like
Yeah,
Undertaker, Bret,
Foley.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mick Foley or whatever. But then I was gonna say Shawn Michaels, HBK, Bret Hart, Undertaker. Always forget about Razor or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's always like that fourth that you could throw in, but you don't. But that's why I always think about WrestleMania VII. I'm like, if this was a different time, especially when you're trying to fill at the time, because the reason why they switched from the LA Sports Arena, which would have fit over 100,000, to the LA Coliseum, LA Coliseum with 100,000, they went to the LA Sports Arena, which was like 20, is because of the security of the war. I think if you kind of rebrand your main event storyline to get less realistic, and you do like, all right, we got Warrior, Savage, and Hogan for the title, three-way.
They're afraid about Sergeant Slaughter getting killed.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, imagine if you go that route and you're trying to fill 100,000 people. Imagine a triple threat match, dude.
I would have sold out the place.
Easy.
Because I think, too, because, like, you had less people, but you had all these stars on the show. So just think. You had Lou Ferrigno come in. He brought in his whole family. Chuck Norris probably brought in his whole family. Trump probably brought in his whole entourage.
Yep.
Regis. The guy who ran Jeopardy, I forget his name, Alex Trebek.
Yep. R.I.P.
And then, what the hell was the girl's name? Was the ring bell?
I don't know.
They probably gave out a lot. Just think. They gave out a lot of free tickets, and they lost a lot of seats for that.
They could have. They definitely could have. You never know.
Because, I mean, you got Regis. He's probably like, hey, my whole family comes to the show, right?
He's always a wrestling fan, though, too, so
Yeah.
you never know. Probably definitely got some seats, so I would definitely say that. But let's get into, so I just wanted to bring that up because I was like, triple threat match at that time, if it was a different era, I definitely think that sells 100,000 that you're trying to fill, and I think that's really cool. If you had to pick a WrestleMania rematch before you go into our booking, because we're almost at that hour mark, we're actually at the hour mark, so who would you have picked, Warrior or Savage?
Warrior.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Would you do face versus face again?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. I'm always debating on that. I'm not sure. So I'm not going to answer. I'll let you do the answering. But let's go to our rebook, man. WrestleMania VII, like I said, obviously it was supposed to be held at the Coliseum. Got switched to the Sports Arena. And we obviously, you guys know the rules. It's been a while. But we have to pick people that were actually on the card. If you're ballsy enough to pick Andre in his state of shape back then, you could do it because he was actually on the card. You could think of managers like Roddy Piper was actually there, but he wasn't in a managerial role. Stuff like that. Slick, if you really wanted to. I don't know if that would have worked. But you can't pick like, I'm picking Flair versus Hogan. Flair wasn't there, so.
Yeah.
And you're not we're trying to make it realistic.
And you're not going to try to pick either like Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart because they weren't that good then.
Yeah,
they
like
weren't,
you're trying
they weren't. It wasn't the Heartbreak Kid. It wasn't versus the Hitman.
Yeah, we try to keep tag teams with tag teams, singles wrestlers with singles wrestlers. Try to keep it realistic.
Literally, you just get the same deck of cards. There's the same players who play them. Just put them in different roles.
Yeah, and we should make a rule. I know we've done it once in a while. We should actually have to change every match. But I think we did that, but we can keep one. So we'll discuss this further. But I mean, obviously, book it.
Yeah, I only keep one on it, and I'll, it's okay if I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I got 10 matches on my card. I think 15's a lot.
Facts.
First match I have is the Powers of Pain. Put Barbarian and Warlord together versus the Japanese group. I don't remember their names.
Tenryu and somebody.
Yeah. Then next match I have is the $1 Million Man versus Roddy Piper and Virgil, because Virgil versus $1 Million Man, all he had was those punches that were ass. I have Roddy Piper and Virgil still going over. Thought that was a cool thing.
Okay.
Savage versus Warrior. I still have I have Savage winning because, I mean, Savage does wrestle again. Yeah. You could still bring in Miss Elizabeth. It could all work that way.
Of course.
Speaking of Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, I do have the Rockers versus the Hart Foundation for the tag team titles.
So do I.
I just think they're the best two tag teams going. Those two, even in their matches against the Nasty Boys and against Haku and the Barbarian, much different.
Yeah.
Cool story about the Powers of Pain, though. We stayed in the same hotel as them.
That's right, we did. That's right. I forgot about that in Virginia.
And so next match I have is the Big Boss Man versus Rick Martel.
Good one.
Next match I have after that is a number one contendership match for the Intercontinental title. I have Earthquake versus Coco Beware.
I like it.
Versus Dino Bravo versus Greg the Hammer.
Oh, you're skipping the triangle match that's ever been done. You're going straight to Fatal 4-Way. Okay.
And I have Dino Bravo winning that match.
Okay.
Next match I have is LOD versus Demolition.
Oh, I got that too.
It was never done, and it would have been better than 59 seconds. Yeah. IC title match, I have the Texas Tornado versus Bret Hart. Or not Bret Hart, versus Mr. Perfect. And I have Mr. Perfect still retaining the title. Main event, I have Jake the Snake Roberts, coming in as champion, going against Hogan. Hogan wins.
So you don't have no Sarge on here.
I'm just...
Yo, neither do I. That's crazy.
I was like... It's,
I almost
like
want
when I
you
watched
now.
the pay-per-view, I was like...
It's so better without.
I'm like, it was okay. That match wasn't bad. But it's like, it could have been way better without him. Like, Jake the Snake in a blindfold match. Jake the Snake was so over. The whole match just chanting, D.
All over,
Then he
bro.
points, and everyone's like, rah!
It's crazy. Just knows how to work the crowd.
Yeah.
I noticed no Undertaker, though.
Oh, I still have Taker versus Snuka.
Oh, did you say it?
That.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
That was my 5th match on the card. I have Taker versus Snuka. I couldn't think of anyone else Taker. Or maybe Taker versus, if anything else, I would have Taker versus Sarge.
There you go. I like that. I like your card. I have the same tag team matches with you, so that's kind of a replicated. And it's kind of weird. It's funny you say that. We did not go over this. Like, we try not to. We have the same 4 in the main event and co-main event, just swapped. I'll explain right now. So I like yours. Obviously, there's no wrong answers. If you guys want to do this, obviously let us know. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at PML Show. But obviously, listen to ours first. Well, you guys are listening to us now, so if you guys want to write down ours and then try to adjust or whatever, or say you hate ours or say you love ours, obviously feel free to comment however you like, and we will respond with some good wrestling discussion. My WrestleMania VII rebook. I'm going to start... I got 11 matches, so I agree with you. 15 is way too much, especially when some of them are only 2 minutes. So you got to make that noise while I'm trying to talk,
Sorry.
dude? Unbelievable. So I'll start from the bottom down, so I'll make the main event last. I'll go Martel versus Snuka. Martel going over. Earthquake over Tito Santana. Earthquake going over. Undertaker versus Texas Tornado. Undertaker going over. I just feel like in 91, more people are more synonymous with Kerry Von Erich over Snuka. Nasty Boys over Power and Glory. I do like Power and Glory, but I got Nasty Boys over because I just like them more. Power and Glory was just a tag team that I just feel like creative dropped the ball after a certain time. Like you talked about, I got Legion of Doom versus Demolition. That match definitely should have happened instead of all the teasing that they'd done later in the 90s. They should have just had it come to a head at WrestleMania VII. Bossman versus the Mountie. They should have pushed that match up from SummerSlam up to WrestleMania VII. Hart Foundation versus the Rockers for the tag titles. Mr. Perfect versus the British Bulldog for the IC title. Ted DiBiase versus Virgil. I kept that match for the $1 Million title. Where we at? Oh, my last 2 matches. I got Warrior versus Jake. The match that should have happened post SummerSlam. I have it actually at WrestleMania VII because I have a rematch of Hogan versus Savage. I didn't know who to put if I were to do Warrior Hogan again because I've always kind of wanted that rematch. But I wouldn't want to do face versus face again. You'd want to make it something different, and I don't know who I would have as that. Maybe Warrior as a heel, but it's always safe to go with Savage, who is always a good heel against Hogan. I would like to have Savage go over.
Career on the line still?
You can do career on the line, actually. Maybe you could have Hogan win. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But we both have no Sarge. That's crazy. It just proves that it just was...
I wasn't really ever a fan of Sergeant Slaughter.
I liked him. I just liked him... I don't know. Just not in the main event level. There's just certain people like that. So that's our WrestleMania VII rebook. Like we talked about, we like to do this on occasion. Next week we'll go back to the WrestleMania resume. But again, you guys heard ours. If you guys are listening on Spotify, if you guys are watching us, you guys, again, heard us. I don't think they're going to do... I'm not going to do a graphic for 20 matches. So,
no.
But yeah, definitely let us know on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at PML Show. And then again, every Friday, our shows come out. So you guys are listening to this hopefully on a Friday, maybe a Saturday, if you guys are cruising. And then obviously tell your friends, families, and wrestling fans. But we are the Primal Wrestling Crew, right? We're good to wrap it up? Good to wrap it up. Next week we'll be back with some more WrestleMania talk, I'm sure. Maybe sprinkle a little AEW in there. And then obviously we'll do a WrestleMania resume like we talked about. We're the Primal Crew. Rich Lopez, Homeboy, Gaines, McCabe. Be safe, have fun. Top shelf price, baby. Top shelf Rob. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Have a nice weekend. Stay safe, as always.
Peace.
Peace.